few folks apart from you. So good afternoon again, myself, Vignesh, officially known as Vigneshwaran Balasubramaniam. I work as a product manager for United Airlines down here at Houston, Texas. I was a graduate out of business analytics back in commerce 6 years ago. Now I've started my career into business analyst roles, and I slowly transitioned into subject matter expert, before which I wanted to move my career, focus more towards product management. I had to do some certifications. We'll get to those aspects of transitioning, but this is me. I'm still working as a product manager for commercial aviation.
Awesome. Awesome. And it's really impressive what you're doing. You start as a business analyst and you have transitioned your career as your passion career as product manager. So we want some advice for the students who are looking for business analyst job. We will start the discussion about business analyst, and then we will go to the product management. So we first want to know, when you first graduated, your struggle about the job. How did you make your first job as a business analyst? And then some tips for the students, that what are the resources they can use to also level up their knowledge about business analyst, and how can they get hands-on experience, things like that.
Absolutely. So when you graduate, you're quite new to the industry. You have all the theoretical skills and techniques that we've been taught out of the universities, but when you land on the real-time market, it's going to be different, right? So for projects, for theses that you guys are doing in the universities, it's theoretical. All the knowledge and the concepts are great. It's needed for you to sustain yourself in the market, but getting the first job when you're graduating out of the university is going to be 90% based on luck. But there are some skills, there are some techniques that we can adopt to squeeze in ourselves into the best opportunities that we can find out in the shorter span of time, right? For a business analyst, I'd say it's been quite some time for me to go over all the academics pieces of it, but what I remember vaguely is we've been taught about concepts, we've been taught about tools, analytical tools. At least our programming was one of the tools that I was going through in my curriculum. There are a lot of those tools and techniques and concepts that are taught to us in the universities. And when you're graduating out of it, when you're trying to look for a job, describing the same is not going to help us to land our first jobs, right? What I would perceive is the first way for me to try thinking about landing into a job is understanding the terms, understanding where the industry or the position or the company that you're trying to apply for. There are several concepts into business analysts, such as you would have learned about it: requirements gathering, requirement prioritization. Those are theoretical concepts. What will be expected out of you when I'm trying to hire for a business analyst? What I'm expecting out of a business analyst is, how well are you able to articulate that vocally, given with examples, given with scenarios that you faced? That's the first added advantage that is going to give you for anyone who's going to go for a business analyst interview. Concepts that you can relate cannot come out of theoretical experience. You have to put yourself into scenarios, think through it, and those answers are going to stand you apart from other candidates that are going to go through the same interview. There are a lot of other aspects, facets that I would want to discuss, but I'm expecting this more to be not of a lecture than of an interactive session. So come on, speak up, have questions asked. I will be gladly able to answer those.
Yeah, so tell me, people who are looking for a business analyst role, what are your struggles you're seeing when you are applying for a role? Is it something we can help with? We are happy to do that. Comment in the chat that what is the most struggle you're having when you're applying for business analyst role. Let's hear because we want to help you. Like, today's session is genuinely for the students to dive through what are your challenges you're facing, so our expert can help you. So let's see what's challenges or any kind of questions you're facing. I don't know if you even watched through some of the online videos, what our business analysts do day to day. So as Vignesh mentioned, that you need to gather requirements as a business analyst, requirement analysis, those are important, as well as as a business analyst, you kind of lead the sprint planning, right? Like you sometimes play a role as a scrum master, you lead the discussions in the sprint. So you need to have those knowledge as well before you can work as a business analyst. So there are, a lot of learning materials available in the LinkedIn Learning as well as YouTube, where you can get an idea about how can you start your first job as a business analyst. How can you educate yourself about those sprint planning, about just reading through those charts in the sprint velocity, what is velocity, all those details, right? So so tell me from your perspective, what is the first challenge you're facing? Is it just getting interview? You think that, is it the resume, LinkedIn, that's the main challenge, or you still don't know where to start to study as a business analyst? Like, which one? You can either speak up or chat, whatever you prefer. Okay. So I think in general, people I have seen, when I review some resume, Vignesh, I have seen that they were missing the keywords. So as a business analyst, some of the keywords you are searching when you are skimming through the interviews, right? You are, even though they are fresh graduate, we expect to have certain skills before they can get the job as a business analyst. So I have seen in the resume, it's a main challenge that people are not adding those skills or adding those skill set that a business analyst is needed. So is there on top of your mind few things you want to suggest them that you going to look for when you're hiring in your team a business analyst?
Absolutely. So there are a couple of pivots to it. First one is keywords, adding to your resume, as you mentioned. As a business analyst, I'm going to be keenly looking forward for a person who knows these terms and understand the interpretation of these terms, right? The first one is going to be of course, it's going to be an use case. I would want that person to know what a use case is. I would want the person to know what a user journey is. I also want to know that this person that I'm hiring for as a business analyst is capable to understand the term systems and what does a system mean. So key terminologies for me are use cases, user stories, user journeys, systems, of course, the regular theoretical terms, customers, stakeholders, requirements, target audience, stuff like that. But in order for me to know that this person is knowing what they're talking about, I would want those customers, stakeholders to be mapped against these key terms, such as use cases, how I, as a business analyst, would find my target audience and how am I going to do it with help of user journeys, right? If this person is going to be a business analyst leading to an insurance company, I need to analyze my requirements based on few customers in order to categorize them. I'm going to call them as personas. So how many personas I have to handle, how many customer bases, how many target audience I'm focusing towards. Am I able to categorize them and then drive their user journeys independently so I can take out the use cases for each of them, which are then going to be utilized in the tools that you're going to work on, such as Jira, TFS, Azure DevOps, dashboards, where you're going to create that requirements as user stories, tickets, that will be picked up by the development team. So those are a few terms that I would expect anybody coming to me for an interview of a business analyst to know about, to talk about, and to be vocal about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So some company use Salesforce to even track some of the tickets. So is there any other CRM tool you suggest for the students to just, have an idea going through some YouTube videos? What are some of the CRM tools you have used so far?
So customer management is something different when it comes to a business analyst. So you can categorize them as a proper waterfall business analyst versus the more trending these days, or for the last decade, would be agile business analyst, right? So when agile comes into picture, the stereotypical concepts of a business requirement document, a functional requirement document, system specification documents gets dropped down, right? That's the typical waterfall model of being a business analyst, where you get to know the project, you sit there for 2 months, write these documents, and then start implementing the project. Now that's taken out of the picture because 90% of your enterprises here in the USA are right now moving towards agile methodology, right?
Absolutely.
When it comes to agile, you have these tools that most of the enterprises use today: Microsoft Team Foundation servers, Azure DevOps Dashboard, and Jira. These are the 3 common tools that are used by organizations and projects where they can capture these requirements, drive the implementation, get into quality mode, and then get it to UAT testings and stuff like that, right? These are the 3 common tools. Among the recent interviews that I've had, these are 3 major as tools that I would expect anybody to know at least the basics about.
Okay.
Interface is something different. The way Azure DevOps Dashboard has its UI, how TFS has its UI is something different. You don't need to know all those nooks and corners of all the tools, but at least a high level understanding of what does this tool do, what does it facilitate, how I can utilize this as a business analyst would make more sense for me.
Yeah, I think to study for this, it will be just if you can look up to the tools, and then in the YouTube, you can search how a business analyst using Jira, right? So you will get an idea from those videos how it looks like. It is okay that, we come from a place, I know as a business analytics graduate, we don't have that idea of agile, or we never were taught in university how Jira works, TFS works, but because there is so much material or resources out there, we can always go through the YouTube. As long as we know those terms, we can self-study and just get that idea about at least how it works, what are some of the functionalities.
And true, these are not programming languages, right? These are just GUI tools. Anybody can take a few hours of YouTube videos and get them familiarized with the tools. But these are the tools, even though you're a fresh graduate, if you're attending an interview and you start talking about Azure DevOps Board, because you as a business analyst will work on these tools 80% of your day-to-days, right? Your requirements gets into that, your defects gets into that, your validation gets into that. So you kind of spend 80% of your work hour every day in these tools. So it will be a great benefit if you start talking about, even though you're just an amateur and knowing the tools, that's fine. You don't need to have hands-on experience, as long as you can convey that you will be able to, and the foundations of these tools.
Exactly. Do you think a certified Scrum Master, that will give them an idea before they can start working in an agile environment, or even certified product owner, right? Like, do you think those give them an idea about how an agile environment works in any company?
So we are focusing more on business analysts, right? So I am a certified Scrum Master, certified Scrum certified product owner, scaled Agile certified product manager. These are certifications that helps you progress in your career. If you're wanting your career to be more focused as a business analyst, at least to know the basics of where you have to start, I'd say certified Scrum Master would help. But keep this at your heart, which is certified Scrum Master or project management professional, any PMI Institute certifications. These are not going to help you drive into a business analyst career, right? These are more into project management, and there's a bigger difference between project management versus product management.
Yes.
The PMI certifications such as CSM, PMPs, these are going to help you drive deep into project management. And why I say CSM can be kind of helpful for you to know is they are the basics of Agile. Those are the Agile tools that helps you understand, I as a business analyst, where do I fit in a sprint cycle? Where do I fit in into an iteration planning for my project? How to calculate the terms that you touched upon, velocity, capacity, where do I place my requirements in a user story, and how do I estimate it, right? Those are the fundamentals of Agile. Maybe certified Scrum Master would help you get familiarized with those terms, but you're not going to work on those, right? You are going to be an analyst. You're not going to work on project management activities. But just to get yourself familiarized, I'd say yes, go ahead for a certified Scrum Master. But anything more than that in project management shouldn't be your focus, because your goal as a business analyst is be a business analyst, transition into a subject matter expert, and then into product management. That's the way you grow in this Agile methodology, rather into the couple of decades old regular waterfall transitioning into a business analyst to a project manager. No, that's not happening in most of the enterprises these days.
Yes, that was really good examples. So do you think that the projects the students normally work in their career, or even if some people have experience back in their home country or even in the university, do you think that will add value if they can somehow showcase that they have used those projects and they have learned all the skills of a business analyst by self-studying, LinkedIn Learning, or YouTube, right? Do you think how can they position themselves as a potential, like as a strong candidate of business analyst?
Certifications, LinkedIn certifications are definitely helping. Other Agile certifications such as CSMs, your other CSPO, certified product owners, these are also definitely helpful. What I haven't seen happening, at least over the years of experience that I have, is anything that you do as a project wise in your academics, in your graduation time. I don't see that fit into the real world industries. So if you want to express that experience that you have as a student, maybe vocalize that in a more meaningful way, in a more industry closer way, rather than, hey, when I was a graduate assistant, I created this new web app where I had to do the analyst, or my team created this new web application where I played the role of a business analyst. That's not going to be helpful, because when you're going to be recruited into a new project, the project is already kicked off. Nobody is going to hire a new person into a new project per se, right? Because anybody who is looking for a business analyst has the grounds already covered for project management, for funding, for sourcing. All those is already covered. Or 90% of the time, you will more likely land into a project that is already ongoing. So you're going to just jump in, start learning about the existing systems, and then start doing the analysis work there. So talking to them, going to the interviews and say, we created a new web application, is not going to be, quote unquote, catchy for the interview panel.
So just to summary is, when you are giving your interviews, you need to highlight that how can you contribute to the company based on your experience as whatever you learned from the business analyst, right? Like delivering those keywords that you just learned today or even in your studies, right? You need to somehow highlight that you can do the requirement gathering, you can do the requirement analysis, you can work on Jira. So as long as you focus on those skills in your interview with your hiring manager, that will be more helpful, right? To get the first job as a business analyst.
Yeah, for sure. And then I know we've been taught in the universities more about business analysts gathering requirements, drafting requirements into tangible, implementable use cases. That's great. But the core foundation of being a successful business analyst is, when you're put on a spot, you need to understand that this is a project which involves processes, business, and systems, right? The hierarchy follows this way. So you are an IT professional, though you're a business analyst, you're an information technology business analyst. You're going to be put into a project where it is a software solution, it's an IT driven solution that is supporting your business, be it operations, be it business. Your project is a support factor for the operations or the business to continue. And between these two chunks, you also have processes that drives these business and the operations. So you're solutioning a process in an automated way to support your business. So if this is the picture and you see yourself as a business analyst in the project, now you have to start learning about, okay, this is my IT team. What is my business team? What are the processes that the business teams has today? And what are all the systems? When I say systems, it can be a software, it can be a program, it can be a tool, it can be a user interface tool, whatever it's going to be, right? You need to know and start understanding these aspects as early as possible the moment you get your job, because that's definitely gonna prolong your sustainability in the project, right? So I work for an IT team which supports a business and operation via processes. What are all the systems that my IT team have today that is aiding these processes, and where I see fit in changing or in progressing the existing solutions or systems. And that's quote unquote a high level ballpark picture of what we will be doing in the day-to-days.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vignesh, for explaining. I just want to ask if there is any questions from the audience. Is there anything you want Vignesh to explain more? Let us know, like if there's anything you are hearing for the first time, like, okay, I don't know what is this. Just let us know if you have any questions in the chat, or you can even speak. So one thing, Vignesh, I want to think that, just 5-6 years back, when you started the job as a business analyst, the first 30 days, the challenges you face, obviously we were learning in the first job, everyone was, fresh graduate. We always have that little bit of less confidence when we start working in a new company, in a new position, new role. So how did you, from that experience, the first 30 days, how was your experience? How did you cope up with the new environment? How was your learning? How did you push yourself to, adjust with the people and the company culture, learn different tools? If you can give some kind of recommendation for the students when they start their job, the first 30 days, what to expect? How can they excel their career in the first 30 days?
Right. So the first 30 days of my job, so quote unquote, I have experience back from my country as an analyst for a few years before I moved into USA. So the first 30 days, even though I have experience, this was brand new for me. Well, after I graduate, I get into a job. This was brand new for me. The first week of my experience was very critical, because that's where you will be able to express all the soft skills that you have as an analyst, right? So a business analyst needs to know analysis as well as interpersonal communication. Soft skills are more needed for being a business analyst. The first week or the first couple of weeks, you're brand new. You don't know anything about the project, anything about the technology, anything about the solution that the team is already having for there. That is the best span for you to express or start displaying your soft skills, your communication capabilities, interpersonal skills, getting that rapport with. Because after those 2 weeks, people out there in your projects are going to expect you to know something out of the first 2 weeks, right? So my experience was, I was put into a commercial aviation project. I had zero knowledge of aviation, right? I have few theoretical knowledge of what business analyst needs to do. But when I looked into the project every day, it was completely different from what I read through on my books, right? The project is already kicked off, everything is going on. Where do I see myself fit in this environment? So I started asking questions, the foundational questions of what is this project, right? Going back to where I touched upon earlier, who are my customers? Who is the business that I'm supporting? What does this project do? If it's a software, what does the software do? Does it have any technical questioning needed, such as what technology is the software using to be written? What is the backend systems? What is the database that they are using? Just getting familiarized with the technologies, with the tools that the project team is using is a good start. There was no one for me to guide through all those aspects of how the first few weeks of my first job is going to be. But this is the best way, because this is going to give you a heads up advantage over anybody who is joining with you or who is trying to compete with you, because now after the first 3 to 4 weeks, you know what the software, you know what your project is, you know what business you're supporting, you know who is your customer. And then when you're asked to gather requirements, now you have some hold of, okay, this is where I'm going to go. This is who I'm going to talk to. If my requirement is going to be more closer to a software, this is how I'm going to write the requirements for it. That's the best way from my perspective, Shusmita.
Sure. So I just want to share my perspective also. So when I first joined, I actually scheduled one-on-one meeting with different teammates that I think I have to interact regularly. So if you can identify those people that you will work daily, and maybe because you're fresher, so everyone will expect that they are okay to give time, at least like one-on-one. You can expect they will talk openly about anything you need from them, or just their experience with the company, if there's any challenges they're facing. If you can help with anything with your expertise, if you can hear what are the challenges they're facing, you can bring your expertise and help them, right? Because everyone wants to work collaboratively and solve the problem. So try to identify those key people, the colleagues you will work regularly, and then keep a track of their email or name, and then schedule meeting, talk to them. If you have any question, like you are not understanding something, feel free to ask in the first 2 weeks, right? It's better to ask openly in the first 2 weeks rather than after 2 months, you're like, oh, I'm trying to learn by myself, but I'm still struggling. So better if you have any confusion, first 2 weeks, everyone is very friendly normally. Even if for the expert people, if you have any question, people still, do one-on-one meetings and talk, because normally we don't want to ask in front of a large group of people that, okay, I don't know this tool, or I haven't have any knowledge about this software. So it's good to have like one-on-one with some colleagues, and then you will understand that, some people are very friendly. There's even, you can have like a good relationship in the long run, and then they'll be your work buddy, and then they will have your back all the time. So having those relationship, right, as Vignesh mentioned, that the soft skill you have, those will be a key player in the first weeks. You need to connect with people, introduce yourself, and offer your expertise. Know about what other people's strengths are, right? What are their working area, how that person can be helpful to you in the long run after you join the company. Any other thing, any other questions or anything about the business analyst role? Because we will start talking about product management in few minutes. So just want to know before we move from business analyst topic to product management, if you have any questions about business analyst role, job search, or any of so. Okay, so yeah, Vignesh, we want to know that what was that made you to change the trajectory in your career from business analyst to product management?
So first of all, it's not a change in the direction of my career, right? It's a growth.
Yes.
So I focused more into agile. So I had to transition from, so there's quote unquote by agile methodology, there's no designation as a business analyst, right? It's by agile, it's a scrum master, a product owner, and a product manager. There's no designation in agile as a business analyst. Business analyst terms, the designation is more into waterfall methodologies, but most of the organizations are hybrid, right? They use the designations of waterfall and then use the techniques of working through agile. So when I started, when I have enough confidence that I know the systems that I've been working with, I know the processes that I've been helping to support are changing or progressing, then I had to transition into a more wider group, which is product management. So business analyst is always about your project, your solution, your team. Product management is more into thinking through the overall agile release train, right? These will be terms that are going to be pretty new for most of the folks here, because you need to go through this transition through certifications, right, to understand each of these key terms. But for now, keeping it very layman, I'm going to say product management is the big picture of what a business analyst do. So think through, you have one project, which has a project manager, which has a business analyst, which has 5 developers. You are trying to develop something to satisfy your business user, which is one line of agile release train. What if your company is having 25 projects and each project has its own project manager, business analyst, and development activities going on? Now, how complex it will be when all the 25 projects needs to deliver something at a particular point for the common customer that's going to use the entirety of the project, right? So now you have to start talking about aligning the product deliveries of team number 1 versus team number 3, because they go in alignment together. Project team number 2 and 7 are needed to go aligned together so that the solution overall, the big picture for the company, works the way it is intended to for the common audience that's going to use it. That's where product management comes into picture. You think through the big picture, you align the requirements between projects so you can drive a roadmap, you can create a vision for the entirety of the solution. Your vision will be then dissected into individual project requirements that each business analyst facilitating their teams will drive through for implementation. But you as a product manager will have the big picture, will have the overall vision, the roadmap, what are all 25 teams going to accomplish after 3 months, after 6 months, after 9 months, after an year. This is where I need the solution to be at a place, and that will be driven by all the 25 teams working together, because each of the team is going to develop small facets of the solution. So that's more into product management. I don't want to get into the details because it might sound fancy, but it's going to be more complex. So let's get it one step at a time, right?
Yeah. So as a product manager, you also have to prioritize, right? What are some of the user stories, or what are some of the tickets you have to deliver in the first quarter or in the end of the quarter, right? Like totally the whole entire roadmap of the product, it's your call.
So being a business analyst to a product manager, who is your audience that you're going to talk to differs very much, right? If I am a business analyst, if I am trying to support one piece of my customer, my focus is always towards that one piece of the customer, right? So my requirements gathering, my requirements prioritization, my validations, my negotiations, everything will be focused towards that one piece of the audience. When I transition into a product manager, now I think through all the 25 aspects of all the teams that are working, and what is my roadmap? Defining a roadmap means, where do I want these 25 teams to stand after 6 months of time so that it satisfies the overall vision that I created for the 1 year span, right? You don't need to work with your teams on a day-to-day basis as a product manager. You are the key player who is going to connect the dots between your stakeholders and the product owners or business analysts. So each business analyst will be expected to have the requirements drafted. Per se, give the requirements. Okay, business analyst 1, I'm expected to get these requirements driven by you. And that communication will be happening from the product manager, who is going to get the overall solution requirements from the customers or the stakeholders. So business analyst either talks with the product manager or with the stakeholder if you're in a proper agile world. And product managers are not going to be stepping into the day-to-day weeds of what each teams are working, but he or she is going to be the one who is driving the entirety of the solution.
Okay, got it. So for someone who is starting their career as a product manager, what advice do you have for them? Like they have never worked before as a product manager, but then they want to learn about product management.
Certifications obviously will be helpful, but in order for you to be a successful product manager, you need to know the ins and outs of being a business analyst. Analysis is a key factor, both for a business analyst as well as for a product owner or a product manager roles, right? But you can have analysis back you up, but in order for you to be a successful product manager, you should have done the prerequisites of being a business analyst, because that gives you enough exposure to what the downstream systems do, versus when you're trying to define your roadmap, you can estimate effort and align yourself with all the downstream systems. So I would recommend definitely start your career with being a business analyst. That gives you the details, because you can work to the weeds of the business and the IT team. When you become a product manager, you're going to be working closer to the business and isolated from the IT teams. So if you start off being a product manager, being isolated from the IT teams, you will not get to know the weeds of the IT team. So start off as a business analyst, know the facets of IT, and then transition into a product management side. But there are certifications, to your point. Scaled Agile Framework is one of my favorite certifications. Certified product owner, certified product manager, all those certifications are available. You can also utilize those.
Absolutely. And I just want to add it what Vignesh said. Even when I joined my first job, I also have a certified Scrum Master certification. When I switched my job, my second job, then I got my Safe Agilist certification. So this certification, if you want to actually stay in a business analyst, program management, product management, or even project management role, this will definitely give you lots of idea about how inside the company it works, because a lot of the company now, they are agile, they're following agile methodology. Inside the company, they are having different PI. So knowing about SAFe, it will give you all the inside idea, even if you are not working with a company. So before even you start working, you will get those idea if you can get even one certification. It could be certified Scrum Master if you're looking into a business analyst. If you're looking into a product management, it will be a certified product owner. So that is definitely going to give you an idea about inside the company, how the Scrum teams work, how day-to-day they are handling the teams, what are the responsibility of a developer versus product owner versus Scrum Master. So to have those idea, and also the certification will showcase, you can showcase in your LinkedIn as well as in your resume when you write your name. Let's say Farhan Munir, after your name, you can add that CSM certification. So that just makes you different, stand out different from all other candidates, whoever, they're applying for one single role.
Oh, LinkedIn is key factor. Having the right contacts on LinkedIn matters a lot, especially in the States here. And to her point, to Sushmita's point, adding the certifications to your LinkedIn profile is going to definitely help you stand out among the rest of the crowd there. Because most of the recruiters, most of the vendors are looking through LinkedIn profiles before even getting it out to the quote unquote common consultancy business that exists here, right? So having a strong LinkedIn profile, having strong connections on LinkedIn is definitely going to help you guys out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Even as Vignesh said, even if nowadays I don't really apply for job just because of my connection and the way I have displayed my profile, I still get contacts from recruiters about program management. And I'm sure all the people who have experience and who are showcasing their skills in the LinkedIn, they are getting the same. So there will be certain jobs before even they post the job, they try to filter with the LinkedIn that can they find any candidate, because that's less time consuming, right? When they're putting the posting, a lot of people apply, then it go through a funnel, then they have to filter. But it takes certain time. But if certain company, they are looking for someone in 2 weeks, they want to just fill those positions in 2 weeks, the first choice they have is going to the LinkedIn. All the skills you are putting out there is maximum you can add 50 skills. So make sure those 50 skills is relevant to the job you're applying. Make sure you don't just randomly add certain skills that is not relevant. Let's say if you are applying to a business analyst role, the keywords that a business analyst role needed, you should add that in the skill section, right? Because I have seen people are not utilizing that LinkedIn skill sections well, as well as your LinkedIn, profile picture, give a professional headshot, and also the about section, keep all those skills, talk about yourself, make sure your LinkedIn profile is well up to date, so you can get those opportunity ahead of everyone else when people are looking for a business analyst or product manager. Okay, any questions so far? I want to hear from the audience. Do you have any question? So tell me how many people you are applying for business analyst role. I want to know how many people you are applying for business analyst role. Just type business analyst, and how many people you are applying for a product manager role. Type product manager. Okay, Rukmani is looking for business analyst role. That's great, Rukmani. I see you recently did a certification in LinkedIn to prepare for your Scrum Master certification. That's awesome. Farhan Munir is looking for business analyst. Tapasya. Okay, great. So most of the people, most of our audience is actually business analyst candidate.
Which is great, which is knowing the foundations to its best, right? This is the right way to approach it.
Awesome. Do you think any tech skill like knowing how to do data visualization, those things will be a strong background or strong asset for a business analyst?
Yes and no. Yes to 30%, no to 70%, because the aspects that you touched upon are more into business intelligence analysts, right? So data visualization is great, but you have data analysts to do that. You have Tableau analysts to do visualizations, right? So all you need to do is feed in some queries and the tool is going to visualize the data for you, which is good enough. But the more tools and skills that I am expecting for anybody who is applying for a role of a business analyst in my company is, do they have the overall, the connection of dots with respect to IT programming, right? So I'm going to chime in with this example. If I am working through on a web application, right? So if I am a customer who is using an application on the on UI, which is going to ask for my ID, password, and save my picture, that's the project, right? That's the entirety of the project. If I as a business analyst just know that, hey, I as a customer need to have an ability to enter my username, enter my password, and then enter my picture. That's it. That's the application. If that's what I'm going to portray to my team, I'm a typical business analyst. Great. I satisfy what the bare minimum of a business analyst needs to be doing. But if I am an individual who can also account for, okay, if I put in my username, password, and my picture, the system or the software or the tool the customer is going to use is going to take that information via services in the backend and then connect it to a database, be it SQL, be it Postgres on the cloud. If I can connect those dots, so UI talking to backend, backend talking to the database or cloud, if I can establish that fine line of connection, as a business analyst, now you're progressing more into a technical business analyst. So you are somebody who can talk to whether this developer is a backend developer, whether this developer is a front-end developer, whether this person is working as a database administrator. You can dissect their responsibilities. And when you're talking to those individuals, you are more specifically referring to the terms that they are going to do, they're going to expect out of you. So technical business analyst rather than a business intelligence analyst, where 80% of the work is taken care by the tools, is more preferred these days. If you are a business analyst and you know how to write a few select statements in SQL, that's enough. I'm not expecting an individual working as a business analyst to do complex pivot joins and left join, inner join, stuff like that, right? All I'm expecting is do a couple of select queries to see whether you're able to get to the data. If you're looking at a service response, be it via Swagger, Postman collection, are you able to understand the gist of it? That's all is needed. And if you're talking these terms to your project manager, to your product manager, even to your development team members, hey, you are a backend developer. I tested out your solution. It's not getting the data from the database via your service. There you go. That's your piece of work that you have to do, right? This is the fine line that I would expect from any business analyst, rather than I know Tableau, I know Python to visualize data. That's great. That's visualization, that's analytics, but it's more into the intelligence domain rather than being in the analyst domain.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, so mainly as a business analyst, all the topics you covered in the beginning, as long as they have those thorough idea, that will help. So I also want to know, is there any questions that the students can prepare when they're interviewing for the business analyst? Like, obviously there are some common behavioral questions, but I'm thinking about the business analyst role specific questions.
Well, there's one interesting question in the chat, Saubhakyas, right? How to prepare for a technical business analyst interview for a person having 7+ years as a backend developer? That's a great question. If you are a backend developer, if you have experience as a backend developer for 7+ years, you're a person who knows 80% of the industry already than anybody who's gonna attend the interview with you, right? You know how systems work. I'm going to take leverage of your 7 years of backend experience. So a REST API, a microservice, a macro service, web services, SOAP services, JSON, XML. Those are going to be your advantages of being an analyst, right? So you have backend experience. You can translate that into analysis world by saying, I am a technical business analyst who knows to read through an XML document, to read through a JSON response, to understand if the data coming out is right or wrong. I can analyze XML data, JSON data. I can run into Postman. I can do Swagger API response models to analyze if this service, if this data that is coming out of the service is what I, as a business analyst, gave as a requirement. So that's a huge benefit for you when you're going to talk through the terms of these XMLs, technical terms that typical business analysts would definitely lack in the beginning years of their career, right? You have a huge plus there. Utilize it not from talking it through as a backend developer, but take those terms, adopt it to a business analyst world, which is I can do Swagger analysis, I can do API analysis, I can do data analysis, I can understand the service architecture. Even if needed, I can help the developers work with the services and fine tune the services the way it should be, because I do have extensive experience on writing the services backend. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that's very much relevant, that having that experience is so much plus versus like someone who actually don't know about those, right? So you just need to translate it as a business analyst perspective. Yeah. And also what Vignesh said, make sure your LinkedIn profile is up to date, because that's going to be very helpful when you are looking for a job, and having those keywords in your resume and LinkedIn, that will going to help you in your landing your first business analyst role. And just go through certain resources, see which one actually you like when you are educating yourself for those tools and software, and knowing what a business analyst does day to day, right? And one more thing was, if you decide to go through a certification, then decide, like, are you going to do the CSM versus CSPO, right? If you're looking for a business analyst, then go for CSM. If you're looking for a product management or product owner, go for CSPO. Okay, any other question? Okay, thank you so much, Vignesh, for your time. Any last piece of advice for everyone?
Not any advice. I mean, you guys are on the right track. You've finished the first phase of learning it through books. Watch a lot of videos. People share their experience from their organizations, a lot of YouTube videos. There are a few crash courses in Udemy. Udemy is one of the common web portals that people go for knowledge sharing and getting into the technical aspects, whereas going for proper certification needs a little bit of foundations like CSPO, CSM, safe agile certifications. If you get through a few crash courses in Udemy, it's going to help you. For any business analyst, I would definitely recommend saying that you are a business analyst, good. If you're a technical business analyst, great, because every company today, these days, are looking out for a business analyst who can talk the business tongue as well as understand the IT facets of a project, right? So familiarize yourself with foundations of database, foundations of services, be it whatever the technology is going to be it C#.NET, be it Python, be it Java, be it object-oriented, whatever it is. Just familiarize yourself with all those terms. When you're being asked about, hey, can you take a look into the service? At least you should know what a service is. What is a REST API? What is an API architecture? And so when it comes to the UI pieces of it, you can explain that, yes, the data is coming from this database to the service, to the UI, which the customer is going to see upfront on the interface, right? Familiarizing with these terms, connecting the dots is going to be the key piece for your sustainability. And then comes your certifications. That's going to add advantage to yourself, but keep at it. The right place at the right time is always helpful. Keep watching all the videos that you guys are already doing, and then just start with some of the crash courses. That should be all.
We have a question from Farhan. I have a question regarding putting the name of the certification on the resume. Some people say it does not add value. Instead, you should put the skills to test using projects and put those projects on the resume. So should we put the name of the certification on the resume?
Yes. So you're partially right, Farhan. The way I have my resume built is I have watermarks of my certifications on my resume. So I'm a CSPO, CSM, SAFE, POPM, PMP certified. All those will be badges that I receive. You don't need to explicitly write down, hey, I'm a certified Scrum Master, certified Scrum Product Owner. All those in your resumes doesn't add any value to it. You're partially right there. But putting out your badges on your resume, so when you're accomplishing any of these certificates, Smita knows it, you get a badge, right? Mm-hmm. Adding those badges and not talking about it is enough. If you add that badge to your resume, you're going to stand out, because that gives the interviewer a heads up that you know the concepts of being a Scrum Master, you know the concepts of being a product owner. And you don't need to talk in detail about all the certification, just add the badge, highlight your resume. And if asked about, you can touch upon the basics of the certification. That's it.
Yeah, and one thing, Farhan, when you're mentioning about the skill, yes. So instead of just putting that I know SQL or I know Python, Tableau, versus like if you can show a project or showcase a work you have done using those, that will be more valuable, as you mentioned. So that is always preferable rather than just throwing some skills on the resume versus adding a project or at least a line. How did you use, where did you use SQL, where did you use Tableau, where did you use Python, right? Having those will give a more clarification to the HR hiring manager that what you have done on that. So any other question? One more tip is when you get any interview, always search in the YouTube, because I have seen for business analysts, even Deloitte business analysts, they have an interview. How, as a business analyst, what to expect if you are interviewing a company like Deloitte. And even for different company, not just Deloitte, if you just search that X company business analyst interview, you will see certain people already gone through the experience and they have shared what were the question asked, how to answer a specific question. So that's a very powerful tool, YouTube. You can learn. Just do your search before any interview that what a business analyst question should look like.